cute couples of all ages make out on public benches. The buildings, so ornate, resemble wedding cakes, filigreed with buttercream flourishes and gold leaf. The urns at the gardens overflow with pretty geraniums. Clinking glasses, toasting at every corner cafe terrace. A joyous wedding celebration all around.
It's Kitchenette Paris, a show about food and passions and the City of Light. I'm Dany Bells, historian, former restaurateur, writer, cook, and current Parisian with the tiniest of kitchens. Join me as I answer the siren call of Paris and eat and cook my way through town.
I always wear something a little fancy when I'm walking around Paris. Maybe a luxurious cherry red lipstick or my tiny little faux pearl earrings. Even just walking to the butcher's feels like a special occasion, crying out for a ball gown and a tiara. Every day feels like a fancy wedding around here. Even if the first few steps out of my apartment are through a minefield of dog poo and a pile of uncollected garbage. Church bells ring around the clock. The urns at the gardens overflow with pretty geraniums. The buildings, so ornate, resemble wedding cakes, filigreed with buttercream flourishes and gold leaf. Cute couples of all ages make out on public benches, clinking glasses, toasting at every corner cafe terrace. A joyous wedding celebration all around. I may look serious and sensible walking around town, but inside I'm bursting at the seams with gladness and want to skip to the butcher's, arm in arm with my husband, to pick up tonight's pork chops. Love is in the air in Paris, and I want in on the action. I can't help but feel as giddy as a bride in these surroundings. What a marvel to be invited to what feels like a wedding party every single day. I was light on my feet recently when I visited the Louvre and became deeply absorbed by the sculpture of Cupid and his beautiful wife. Courtship and weddings and happily ever after have been ever present on my mind since learning of their love story. Before Cupid became the cute little cherub that we all know, he was one of the founding mythological forces of creation. Eros was his name in the ancient Greek tradition, and he was the force of love that pushed the creation of the universe. He eventually married Psyche, a beautiful princess who, like all mortals, lived too much in her own head. In the mythology, Eros and Psyche live in the eternal rosiness of adoration and passion, but this doesn't mean that things started out easy for the lovers. They may model for the world the sublime unification of body, Eros, and soul, Psyche, but they first had to navigate betrayal, separation, hostility, journeys to the underworld, and that most wretched and nagging feeling of doubt, so damn familiar to us mortals. Eventually, they patched things up, settled into a life of eternal bliss, and had a beautiful baby girl. They named her Voluptus. Voluptus, meaning abundance, voluptuousness, pleasure, and hedonism. Eros, known as Cupid in Roman circles, is the god of love and desire. Eros represents the body and its animating force. Psyche is the mortal princess that stood up to the gods to piece her love life back together after a sense of doubt had destroyed it. Psyche in Greek means soul. In psychoanalytic circles, psyche is the mind. At the Louvre, I urge you to visit the sculpture of the lovers at the right time of day, when rays of sunshine illuminate Eros's delicate, almost translucent wings. Antonio Canova's sculpture, Psyche Revived by Cupid's Kiss, is itself worth a pilgrimage to Paris. You will not see baby voluptas here, but you might become as intrigued as me by her parents' wild love story. Baby voluptas is the offspring of what Hermetic magicians call the alchemical marriage. Body and soul unite in harmony, and the power within subsequently comes to life. In her book, Existential Kink, magician and cultural critic Dr. Carolyn Elliott asserts that, quote, once your psyche is filled with eros, you produce a field of deeply beautiful positive projections and synchronicities, end quote. This is a process of becoming magic, she insists. Integration of body and soul, light and dark, sun and moon, the alchemical marriage of the once troubled lovers. Indeed, you can't make beauty if you are in your head all the time. All that existential angst, all that drive to philosophize and enlighten the mind, the constant rumination, the obsession with observing ourselves within this mad reality. What a way to ruin ourselves. Imagine a life where constant analysis and intellectual obsession with the workings of the universe block your most visceral inclinations and instincts. You end up having a sensible but boring career. You marry the kind of guy your parents are going to like. You concern yourself with what others think of you. You actually allow all the rules and norms and cultural constructs and all that schooling you completed to drown out your sense of play. And perhaps the most hellish of lifescapes, you get stuck, constantly battling with yourself while ignoring the trickster universe that actually wants you to learn and evolve. Indeed, the psyche can be a terrible place. It can be torture central if you're not too careful. As writer Anne Lamott once said, "My mind is like a bad neighborhood. I try not to go there alone." And she's right. Find yourself a companion, a neutralizing force that quells all the doubts and fears and makes it safe to be in this body, in this universe, at this time. Psyche understood this. She took a lover and opened herself up to flow and ease, subsequently birthing a life of abundance and pleasure. It's a wonder how Psyche never became a superstar archetype for us clueless mortals stuck in the vicious cycles of analysis paralysis. How committed we are to the cultural message that insists on reason and logic shaping our reality. The culture insists on schooling you. It demands that you trust the experts. It shoves idols, cults, traditions down your throat, insisting that this is where you will find your identity. It separates you from your pleasure, punishing your erotic outpouring while insisting that you have all the freedom in the world to express your inner being. It pushes war and violence and fundamentalism on you. And when the maddening mystery of life compels you to dance and sing and shout. It demands that you keep calm and carry on, and perhaps respond with logic and a good dose of mindfulness practices. Eros and Psyche's bundle of joy, baby voluptus, was born to defend our right to pleasure. But oh, how the cherubic baby offends our sensibilities. In our puritanical love affair with restraint and scarcity, we insist on leaving pleasure for a later time. We can be hedonists in heaven, we insist. While we are here, however, let us suffer and sit in our righteous anger while we are entertained by the pornography of fear and despair. Of course, the world seems like it's falling apart, as it always has since the advent of the evening news. Of course, there is misery and despair, destitution and destruction, hatred, greed. And of course, there will always be a moderating force around you, reminding you to abandon your hedonistic ways and pay attention to the world on fire. Police yourself and others from the immorality of not taking a stand against the enemy du jour. Be mad, arm yourself with righteous rage. Share widely that breaking story about the end of the world with all your online friends while your toddler throws a tantrum because you won't dance or sing with her, or jump in muddy puddles with her, or build the mother of all snowballs with her. Reach for your phone first thing in the morning rather than your lover. The end of the world is near, they say, and who has time for a morning interlude anyway? Give your in-laws that nasty look at dinner, and ensure the family continues to feud, all in the name of your political disagreements. Go ahead and live in your head, and avoid all the good parts that the body is yearning for. Connection and warmth and bliss. Live in your head like Psyche did before Eros came along. Go ahead and make yourself barren, never capable of birthing pleasure, abundance, and beauty in your life. Self-righteousness wins, you lose. Unpopular opinion. Beauty and pleasure take precedence over reason and logic. For the end of the world pundits, this is sacrilege, hedonistic negligence, the domain of the lazy, narcissistic, and careless. Adam and Eve were punished for it, your parents and your teachers punished you for it, and you probably punish yourself for it all the time, insisting that your bliss and freedom are some form of guilty pleasure. You will be accused of decadence and overindulgence if you celebrate your pleasure too much. Even worse, you'll be accused of being privileged and out of touch, parasitic and bourgeois. And yet, the most liberated of our kinfolk are unapologetically preoccupied with defending beauty. Artists, dancers, cooks, gardeners, free birthers, maestros of tantra, and your quiet next-door neighbor who seems to flow with ease at every turn. Toni Morrison, Pulitzer Prize winner and Nobel laureate, once said, quote, "Beauty is an absolute necessity. I don't think it's a privilege or an indulgence. It's not even a quest. I think it's almost like knowledge. It's what we were born for. I don't think we can do without it any more than we can do without dreams or oxygen," end quote. Iconic American modernist painter Helen Frankenthaler was criticized for spending too much time in her own world and the pursuit of beauty during the end of the world in the 1970s and 80s. She insisted that, quote, "Beauty gives no specific message other than itself, which in turn should be able to move you into some sort of truth and insight and something beyond art," end quote. She insisted on the role of art knocking you out for the sake of its beauty, rather than its political or social commentary. Ultimately, isn't that what the sublime is supposed to do? To take you out of the ordinary constructs of a world that teaches you not to know yourself, not to trust what's inside you, not to let thy heart guide you? Many artists seem to understand that truth does not rest in passive memes, punditry, or the consensus paradigms of the day. Despite their own personal tragedies, they allow themselves the exploration of pleasure and beauty within the human dilemma. Contemporary artist David Hockney, whose exhibition at the Louis Vuitton Foundation in Paris will dazzle visitors until the end of summer, reminds us that, quote, the world is very, very beautiful if you look at it, but most people don't look very much, end quote. Despite the media's fear bait, he refers us to the good news all around. Spring will still arrive. So will song and merriment, snowflakes and cake, cuddles, dancing. Psyche and Eros discovered the sublime and the polarity between body and soul. The archetypal lovers teach us to reveal our divinity by surrendering to the sensuality of the body so as to balance out the busy mind. Give in to love, they say, and for the sake of the universe, have some fun. Baby Voluptas, as the embodiment of our own divinity, never got her own shrine. How bewildering that no place exists to pay our respects and celebrate the fruits of the alchemical marriage. And we hardly find any depiction of the divine baby in the art of classics-obsessed painters of the Renaissance or beyond. Don't all gods and saints require a place of worship, an altar, a ritual, a festival? In antiquity, temples to the gods gave devotees a place to pray and receive guidance. Festivals celebrated the gods of harvests, wine, or textiles. In the syncretic realm of Catholicism, shrines to saints and virgins are everywhere. Several chapels dedicated to St. Lawrence, for instance, reside here in France. Cradles of worship and prayer to the patron saint of cooks and archivists, librarians, and comedians. Surely, if cooks have a place to light a candle, seekers of abundant pleasure should have one too. So, where is the spirit of Voluptas? Where do we go to feel her presence? Antonio Canova's sculpture at the Louvre should start us off on this quest. Psyche softly surrenders to her lover's embrace, ready to make splendor with him. She releases the urgency of the soul to ruminate and speculate and reason with this universe. In turn, she opens to her other half, where erotic bliss and liberation reside. Admiring Psyche's sensual surrender and Eros's almost translucent wings when the sun illuminates them just so, you will note that this is Voluptas in the making, body and soul in harmonious union, sublime. Once museum fatigue hits hard, go run out the doors of the Louvre and find Voluptas all over Paris, where body and soul integrate lavishly and abundant pleasure is to be received at every glimpse of its boulevards and divine gardens. You might agree with me that no shrine ever needed to be erected to the Holy Child, certainly not in this city. The hand of Voluptas is everywhere and touches everyone. Lovers in courtship, the flow of fine wine, golden light shimmering in the evening rain. Look around. Haven't you seen this before? Of course this is not a Paris exclusive, although Parisians do a mighty good job at it. Altars to Voluptas are surely all over your hometown and in your private moments amongst friends and loved ones. Voluptus is known as Hedone in Greek mythology. Yes, Hedone, as in the root word for hedonism. Our common use of the word conjures up images of the wealthy, the self-absorbed, and the pompous. The teachings of Epicurus, the 4th century BCE Greek philosopher, however, might help us understand the original intention of the word. Hedonism, he insisted, is the highest calling of our human experience as an end to suffering, and it is only available through the pursuit of simplicity. It can only be found in the nuance of our lives, not in the decadence that the bored and the unimaginative are known for. While there are plenty of gaudy, over-the-top versions of hedonism in Paris, Epicurus would certainly agree with me that it is in the simplest of pleasures where Voluptus is truly worshipped in the City of Light. I find it lounging at the Luxembourg Gardens under blue skies by the espaliered pear trees, indulging in a whole afternoon at one of the more quiet museums in the city. The Cluny tops my list. In the silly smirk on my face as I walk back from Saturday market with an armful of rosy peach peonies, stopping at yet another arcane little shop that sells buttons or flower essences or anthroposophic books. I worship Voluptus every day, finding vitality in the rhythm of the city and in its drive to manifest the alchemical marriage. Every day is a festive wedding in Paris. Its beauty and divine pleasures reveal truths to all who are willing to look. Lighten up, enjoy, let go. You are alive right here, right now, and the spring will come. As an homage to baby Voluptus, I decided to bake a cake to celebrate the wedding of Psyche to Eros. More like a petite and delightful confection that I can manage in my tiny little kitchenette. My mini pavlovas with pistachio tiramisu mousse and strawberries is my delicious offering to place at the altar of dear baby Voluptus. She deserves a little recognition. Until the day we make a bobblehead plastic Jesus-like figurine to place on the dashboards of our cars, or someone starts making little baby Voluptus Lucky Charms to hang around our necks, the pavlova will have to do. Afternoon tea will be her shrine, and with my dear companions, I shall feast on sweetness and raise a glass to the little tot. To beauty, to pleasure, to dear baby Voluptus. Until next time, I'm Dany Bells.
If you enjoyed this little pause in your day, subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, and share with someone you love. Kitchen at Paris is written and produced by me, Dany Bells, from Paris with Love. Theme music by Kyle Cox.